Hi, thanks for joining me. So, Houdini's poking his head out here, seeing what's going on. I got the dishwasher going. I don't know if you can hear that. But he was really good. He made a nice shed early this morning. You can see it goes all the way around down into there. And I haven't checked him to make sure that everything came off, but I bet you that it did. And yeah, I'm tempted to take him out, but I think we'll just leave him in. And we're going to do another 7th Gen Collection Voodoo video here, so let's go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and get started here today. There are two publishers, mostly publishers, one publisher localizer, that I'd like to talk about on the Xbox 360. Before we get into that though, I do want to make an addendum to my last video, which was Wii games from Square Enix. I did miss Final Fantasy Fables Chocobo's Dungeon, I believe. That is something I'm aware of. It's something that I don't have, and thank you very much to Sturmwind for pointing that out. It's, as far as I know, a series that started on the PlayStation 1, and I believe had a follow-up on the PS2, and then this version on the Wii. I actually don't know how that version relates to the other ones, if it's maybe a remake of the PS2 game or its own completely new game, which is what I assume, but it's not something that I've seen in the wild very much, if at all, and it's definitely something that I'm still looking to add to my collection. So the first publisher that I want to cover today is XSEED. Now, XSEED has done a lot of great work over the years. Especially I took note of a lot of great games that they localized for the Wii in the 7th generation, as well as the PlayStation 3. However, they did release a couple of games for the Xbox 360. One of them is cross-platform with the PlayStation 3, and that is Killer is Dead. Now, I don't have that game for the 360, but it seems like a instance where XSEED may have overestimated demand a little bit, and maybe it's just with their special editions, but I do still see, I don't know if it's on their site right now, but for years and years now it's been very easy to get the limited editions, possibly for both the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, I'm not sure, but I've definitely seen special editions around for that. I think they overproduced those. And it's too bad. I haven't played Killer is Dead. I know some people that really like it. It seems like if you're a Sudogoichi fan, it's probably a really cool game. It's probably a cool game just in general, but it does seem like people did have some issues with it as well, so I can't comment on that as much, but the other game here that I do have out of the two that they published on the 360 is actually a 360 exclusive. This is the only 360 exclusive that I know of XSEED having published. I've talked about this before in terms of it being somewhat uncommon. It's something that I'd only seen once in the wild when I picked it up, and I was really glad that I did. Again, I still haven't gotten around to playing it. People have mixed reviews on it, but I like the Samurai Showdown kind of universe and characters, so I'm interested in checking this out. I probably should have before I made this video, but yeah, if you're collecting for the Xbox 360, like I said, XSEED only published 2 games for the system, and I definitely recommend grabbing this if you see it, especially because it's pretty uncommon. So the next publisher that I want to talk about is SouthPeak Games. Now, this is an instance where you have all of these kind of little publishers and developers that I feel like cropped up in the 7th gen, which was really cool, kind of surprising. And I kept seeing their games around, and I figured, oh man, maybe they must have had a ton of games on the 360 and various platforms. But there aren't that many, really, when you put it down into a list. These are all of the games that I have found. Again, I didn't put my my stipulation in my last video, but do your own research on these. Don't rely solely on these videos. But I do have, as far as I know, all of the games released by SouthPeak Games on the 360. Starting off here with Two Worlds. Oops, put that over closer to Noir there. So Two Worlds, I remember when this came out, I think people were riding kind of high on the sort of Skyrim fever at the time, and this was sort of poised to come out around the same time. Now I I don't know for sure, but if I venture a guess, it seems like SouthPeak Games basically ported PC games to the 360 and some other systems. It seems like, most of these games also have PC releases. This one is an Xbox 360 console exclusive, and my friend was pretty interested in this and got it when it first came out. He was a bit disappointed in it. Not the greatest game, although he enjoyed it. He did play some of it and thought it was decent. Now that's one that I see around now and then. I wouldn't say it's particularly difficult to come by. The next one, Two Worlds 2. This one, interestingly enough, everybody seems to have quite good things to say about it. I wouldn't say, you probably want to get your expectations up too high, but it seems like whomever the developer of this game is really learned from their work on Two Worlds 1 and just upped the ante and really made this a much better game. Everybody seems to think that this is like pretty decent, possibly even a little underrated. And again, I don't think it's worth getting your hopes up super high. Some people say like this was a little too ambitious, but I haven't played it. I really don't know, but everything I hear is that this is a much better game than the first one. It's probably really worth playing, and I think if you're going to add this to your collection, you really want to add the first one to your collection as well. Again, these are both Xbox 360 console exclusives, also available on the PC. Next up, we have something of an interesting series for me. I think of racing games, and I kind of think of Gens like 5 and 6 a little bit more than 7, but the more I look at it, Gen 7 has a ton of racing games. There are so many racing games, it's crazy. So this is Super Bike World Championship. I think that's SBKX. Now, an interesting thing about this is it does say Deep Silver right on the cover. Now, normally I don't do this. I usually go by the the publisher that appears on the cover of the games. But if you flip this over, it does say right on the back, distributed by SouthPeak Games. So we'll talk about Deep Silver later, and maybe I'll do a little bit more research into what their deal might be with SouthPeak Games. Again, I don't know much about this. I haven't played it, but something you might want to keep an eye out for your collection. Next up here we have another multi-platform, Section 8. It says Timegate here. I assume that they're the developers, again published by SouthPeak Games. And this is another, what seems like a PC port. I really know nothing about this game at all. The ultimate multiplayer combat with up to 32 players online. I don't actually know if this has, a single player campaign or if it's like strictly a multiplayer game or whatnot. But, again, this is not particularly expensive. Definitely something that you might want to consider adding to your collection, especially since, there's not all that many of these SouthPeak games when it really comes down to it. So that's Section 8. Next up we have Velvet Assassin. Now, this is one that I haven't played. I just picked it up when I was keeping an eye out for the SouthPeak published games. I don't know much about this. It looks kind of cool, though. Inspired by the fascinating real-life story of the secret agent Violet Szabo. I'm assuming is how you say that. So yeah, I'd be pretty interested in checking this out sometime. Again, like I said, in terms of rarity, these all seem to be relatively as accessible as the other ones, which I would say is like, somewhere between common and uncommon. You don't necessarily see these around all the time, but they're not particularly hard to find. And so yeah, that's Velvet Assassin. And the last one here is X-Blades. Now, this is actually a game also that my friend and I were kind of interested in getting. My friend picked it up when it first came out. It's just kind of like a hack and slash kind of just action game. I remember when we were playing this, we were a little disappointed because we're like, okay, this is like, you don't want to have particularly high expectations of this. It's a pretty mediocre game, but it was decent, and we enjoyed what we played of it. This is another one that had a sequel, and I have a feeling that it probably had a much better sequel than the original. Interestingly enough, though, it was not published by SouthPeak Games, it was published by Konami. So we'll talk about that later when we cover Konami published games. So yeah, those are the games that I wanted to cover here today. XSEED and SouthPeak Games. I hope I didn't call them South Park at any point during this video. Again, you guys let me know if I missed anything, and and again, I hope these videos are helpful, and I hope that you'll join me again for more video game and anime related videos. Thanks for watching.